Earl Iron remained home in his castle the whole season, so that he never came out into the forest to hunt animals. One evening, a house servant came to the court of Earl Iron and took lodging for the night. The Earl had him sit across from him, and he asked him for news. He asked where this man had been before, and the servant said, "A short while ago, I was with King Salomon in France. I spent all winter with him in good favor." And the Earl answered, "Is King Salomon a great chieftain? What does he do most often for entertainment? And what is his occupation?" And the guest responded, "Sir, he is certainly a good man and a glorious chieftain. His most frequent entertainment is hunting animals, and he is the greatest hunter, and he always accomplishes great things." Earl Iron spoke, "Where does King Salomon ride most often when he hunts animals?" And the servant said that he rides most often into the Valslangforest and in many other places, but he hunts most often there. And Earl Iron asked, "What kind of animals are most common in that forest, and which ones are most important?" And the servant answered, "There are many kinds of animals there, hart and bear, and there is a bison there that is the largest of all animals anyone has ever seen, and few men dare come near him. King Salomon has this bison in his forest." And Earl Iron spoke, "Doesn't King Salomon ride out to hunt the bison?" And the servant answered, "He does not want to have it hunted, but rather he wants to have young bison among the older ones, and there are now 10 bison in all, and no one is bold enough to dare to hunt the ones King Salomon has." That evening, they all drank and enjoyed themselves. The servant departed the next morning, and the Earl thought much about what he had said. Some of Apollonius' men traveled into the forest hunting animals, and when they were riding through the forest, they found dead animals before them, a hart and a fawn, and they saw that they had been bitten by dogs. They rode back toward the castle and encountered several men who lived near the forest. The knights asked who had been so bold to have traveled in Apollonius' forest, and the villagers said that they knew that it had probably been King Salomon's men. They did not know whether he himself had been with them or not. The knights rode home to the castle at Tira and told Earl Apollonius they had found out that King Salomon of France had spoiled his animals and ridden in his forest. This displeased Earl Apollonius greatly, and he sent men and a letter to his brother Earl Iron, and informed him of these events. He bade him come to him with his dogs and hunters, because Apollonius wanted to go and hunt animals. And when Earl Iron had heard this news, he called out, "Where is Nordian, my best hunter? Prepare my dogs quickly. Take Stappi, my best dog, and take Stutt. I want to have him along with me. I would rather have him than the best horse. Take Bracca and all of my best dogs. Also take Luska, who is the best of all bitches, and Ruska. You are the fastest of knights." Queen Isolde put both hands around Earl Iron's neck and said, "My dear lord, please stay home in your castle and don't ride out hunting because of this." The Earl answered, "Lady, I shall now ride out, because my brother Apollonius has sent me word and he wants to hunt animals. We shall both go." And she spoke tearfully. "If I can't prevent you from hunting, then ride with your brother and hunt in your own land, and don't go hunting in the Valslangforest. Promise me that." Earl Iron answered, "I may well travel in my forest to hunt animals, but if King Salomon has ridden in my brother's forest, then I can scarcely promise that I won't go into his land." The lady spoke, "If you come into the Valslangforest with your hounds, then there will be a great storm over the big bison, and King Salomon will find out that his animals are being hunted, and that may turn into a great feud." Earl Iron called for his knights and bade them prepare themselves quickly. Earl Iron rode out of Brandinaborg with his dogs, and it is told in the Saga that no one ever had better hunting dogs than he had. 12 were the best dogs ever named in German poems, and altogether he had 60 good hunting dogs. He rode with his hunting dogs and his men to meet Apollonius, his brother. They had 60 men when they rode into the forest, and they rode first in his forest, which was called Ungaraforest. They hunted there for several days and roasted meat for their food. One day they took their horses and rode all day and the night after and all the next day until they came to the Valslangforest. They loosed their dogs and hunted many animals. They came to a track where some kind of animal had run. The tracks were much larger than any they had seen before, and the dogs ran along the track, and they rode along after them. Then in the evening, they saw where the dogs were leading, and they saw many large animals. One bison was so large that none of them had ever seen as large or as frightening an animal. It was followed by young animals, so that there were 10 animals altogether. And the earls chased the animals and urged on their dogs. The animal killed many good dogs before them, and they escaped, except for 3 of the smallest, which were captured. And the earls killed 60 large animals in the Valslangforest, hart and bears and bison. And they left every animal they fell laying there, so that they had nothing from it except what the dogs ate and what the servants roasted. When they had been in the Valslangforest a month, Earl Iron spoke to his brother Apollonius. "We have been in King Salomon's country a long time. I advise that we turn back. We don't have enough men to go against King Salomon if he finds out about our trip. We have killed twice as much in his hunting forest as he did in ours." And Earl Apollonius answered, "Do you want to ride home into our country? It seems quite bad to me if we are to leave King Salomon's hunting forest. after having lost so many dogs to this great bison, and the animal has escaped." Earl Iron answered, "We shall now ride away as quickly as possible, and if I remain healthy, I shall return another time to the Valslangforest to find this bison, and I shall not quit until it is dead." And they now quickly took their horses, and they all set out on their way. They rode home in this fashion, and were all very happy. King Salomon heard news from the Valslangforest. The man who had traveled through the forest had found many animals, some large and some small, and the man had also found many animal skins on the road before them, and no one knew who had done it. King Salomon was very displeased and felt that he had suffered great harm and dishonor as well. He called his knights and told them to prepare to ride to hunt, and they did so. He rode then with 40 men and many dogs to the Valslangforest. He saw that the reports were correct, and that so many animals had been killed in his forest, and that one could scarcely count them. He saw also many places where fires had been, and where wood had been cut. King Salomon remained a short time in the Valslangforest, and then rode north to the Ungaraforest, and there he hunted so many animals that the forest was almost deserted. Revenge following revenge was a usual custom back in the day. And so next time we continue with King Salomon's acts of revenge, preparations for a second hunt, and the fate of the bison in the 46th part of the Thidrekssaga. So thanks for tuning in, and see you again next time, back here in the Hall of Sagenheim.